Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. Give me 1 second to sort this out. It is Monday, the 31st of March. We are not going to have a good week. I want to come on here and be as positive as possible, but I've got to say, this is not going to be a good week. There's a lot of stuff we're going to go through today, which no matter how we look at it, is going to lead, in my opinion, to the downside. I'm just going to restart Microsoft Edge because it appears to be making me run really, really slowly, but I seem to be better now. So what we're going to go through today is a bag of balls. There's no other way to put it. We're going to look at the tariffs. We're going to look at the carry trade. We're going to look at inflation. We're going to look at a lot of things. We've got unemployment data coming out. I don't see one single shred of good news this week. Now, it's the 31st of March. April is 30-day month. I don't think we're going to be in the same situation we are today or this week by the end of April. So what I'm going to go through today is not my long-term outlook on Bitcoin, crypto, everything else. It's more of a 2 to 3 week period, I would say, where we've basically got to survive. And that sounds very dramatic, and I don't like to be dramatic. I try and be very sensible and very middle ground, very stoic. But there's just so much potential downside this week that the title of the show today is $72,000 if we're lucky. And I think $72,000 to $74,000 this week is on the cards. And I'm telling you now, I opened a short at 82.2, 82.3 this morning. It's probably not going to see out the rest of the day. If we are going to go down to the downside, break 80,000, I might keep it open. But this is a short-term trade, which I'm probably going to close in about 6 or 7 hours. But I want to get that off my chest first, because I do like to be transparent with you. And the Oracle, by the way, is streaming in 6 hours. He's streaming at 5 o'clock Central European, 4 p.m. in the UK this afternoon. So we're going to go through what the Oracle has to say later on. I'm going to tune into that as well as everybody else, because I want you guys to get what he has to say. I know we have KB in chat. We have Mags, we have Hidden, we have Velvet Rope. Good morning to you all. I hope you are doing incredibly well. What should we talk about first? Let's head over and have a look at some market prices and see where we are at this moment in time. Let me close that down as well. We do not want any Telegram notifications while we are live. So we have Bitcoin coming in at 81,860. Ethereum below $1,800. XRP looking like it's going to break $2. We have BNP below $600. We've got Solana back at 126. Doge, don't care. Cardano, 64 cents. Tron, yeah, don't care either. Toncoin below $4, although that has pumped up. And Chainlink below $15. Okay, I'm not going to sugarcoat this, guys. There's going to be pain today, and I think there's going to be pain tomorrow. And Wednesday, there's going to be pain, but it's not all negative. There's potential for it to be massively negative. Okay, so we're all good. I can see that. Right, so the title of the show today is Going Down. If you're new here, follow us and subscribe to us, whatever channel you're watching us on. As you can see, we're at over 205,000 of you beautiful souls have decided that we are worthy of a follow. If you can add to that, it would be fantastic. The next target is 250,000, and that's a long way off. Look at the volume of today, which I think you can see on your screen. It's coming in under 60 billion. I know it's a Monday. The weekend has low volume, but still under 60 billion for the weekend. Bitcoin dominance coming in at 61.5. ETH coming in at just over 8%. Where did ETH go? Has anything survived? Zcash 4XDC ton EOS. EOS is going through a rebrand, by the way. Expect that to rally probably over the next couple of months. I'm not going to buy it though. Gold is coming in at all-time highs, by the way. $3,150. Gold is coming in at an all-time high. We've been covering on this channel a coin, Autumn Trust, AUT. I think it's AUTUM or something like that. I don't hold any of it. It's basically a gold trading token. We've been following that for a few weeks. But when you're starting to see gold in the top gainers, you know something is afoot. Losers: Move, Pi, Bera, Story, Aave, Hedera, Jasmy, Jupiter, all over 7% down. Sui over 7% down. Kronos has broken below 10 cents, as I expected it to be. Cardano, Pi, it's a sea of red. And I think we may see worse. Now, I may or may not have included this video at the start of some of our streams. Let me bring this up slightly. I don't know. Everything is slow today. I don't know whether it's the internet connection or what. Okay, just remember, you want to be jumping. This is inflation data. You dodge it. This is Trump's tariffs. You've just got to keep jumping over it. Okay, you need to be like this man here, like Jackie Chan. You need to try and get through the next few days, weeks, maybe the middle of middle of April. I'm going to show you the chart later on and we'll go through that. Now, these are two posts that I want to try and bring your attention to. One, of course, is gold is at all-time high. It's up 1.24%. It doesn't sound an awful lot. That's a massive, massive move. What's gold? A $20 trillion asset. It's a massive, massive move for gold. And everybody is expecting the worst. Everybody's expecting the tariff wars to continue. We have so much negativity in the market, so many bearish things to go on, that gold is simply flourishing. It's up. It's the best performing asset, I believe, of the last, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. The Japanese stock market is down 4% as investors prepare for President Trump's Liberation Day. This is the day, which is Wednesday, when Donald Trump will be bringing in tariffs that target 25 countries. Now, the majority, but not all, of the bearish news in the next few days and weeks is to do with the tariffs, but there's everything else to take into account as well. Inflation, unemployment. There's the news potentially about the carry trade from Japan. That's starting to unwind again. We'll get into it a bit more later. Right, Vitalik. I'm not picking on the guy. I don't pick on Vitalik, but he's kneeling down, making cat noises to a robot. And this man is the face of Ethereum. I mean, come on. At least put a suit on. What are you doing? Meowing at a robot? Anyway, let's get through some of these. I think I've got some comments in chat, which I will reply to. Every major institution, big money fund, government is building on ETH. The default layer for stables and layer 2s is ETH. And you can stake it, making it a trifecta asset. It's one. There's no way for these prices you're not getting a 3x of your money. Easiest trade of the year. Alex Becker. I've covered him before. I think he's reasonable. I think he's quite a sensible chap from what I remember, unless he's changed and he's become another one of these bullish, bearish calls, I don't know. But I think I remember him being quite a sensible chap. And the thing is, the prices are more bullish in the long term than they are at this moment in time. Michael Saylor again tweeted out yesterday, he is buying more Bitcoin. Okay, it needs more orange. Each one of these orange dots on this Bitcoin chart is where Saylor has bought Bitcoin. And he is going to come out and he is going to announce today that Strategy B has gone and bought more Bitcoin. Again, it's bullish, but just because it's bullish at this moment in time doesn't mean that the market is going to go up. Bitcoin is volatile over the weekend. I don't agree with this, by the way. I don't think we're going to go back up and open at 83, 84. The week ahead is just not looking good at all. So I think we're going to come more to the downside. So what's happening in the next 10 days is this. April the 2nd is Liberation Day. That is Wednesday. Wednesday, Trump is going to announce tariffs against 25 countries. April the 4th, which is Friday, we have the unemployment data in America. And then April the 10th, we have more inflation data. And then after April 10th, we're going to get the next FOMC meeting, at which point we want Powell to cut rates or talk about QE and QT. So April the 10th is 11 days from now. We've got 11 days, I think, of either pain and massive pain, or, as I am expecting, Liberation Day, I am not expecting it to be as bad as the markets are going to make out. So I think today we're going to see the markets price in a tariff war on Wednesday. I think the markets are going to get hit the worst today. Then what I expect tomorrow and leading into Wednesday, I expect each one of these blocks, each one of these countries to come back to the table to negotiate the tariffs with Trump. And then I expect Trump to negotiate a deal, if you know what I mean. Now, everyone is crying about these tariffs, but everybody is looking at it from the American point of view. And as I've said before on here, a lot of these tariffs are reciprocal. Now, what that means is that Canada may have been charging 25% on American cars for the last 5 years, and America hasn't been charging any tariffs on Canadian cars for the last 5-6 years. So what Trump's done is said, okay, well, if there's a 25% tariff on our cars, we're going to put 25% tariff on your cars. Now, if it goes through, and if all of these tariffs come to pass, inflation in America is going to go up, and we're not going to see rate cuts. In fact, we might see rate hikes again. But he's calling their bluff. He's done it with Canada and Mexico, 3 times now. He's done it with China already. And with the P word and the R word that we can't mention, he said he's going to put a 50% tariff on Russian oil and gas if they don't sign the peace deal. Now, of course they're going to sign the peace deal. So he's publicly arguing, threatening, whatever you want to call it, in the X, in front of the press. He's calling them out, and it's their decision whether they are going to go along with it or not. But I'm not expecting it to be as bad by Wednesday as the potential is today. That's the key. But the potential today will drive us down. The potentially on Tuesday will drive us down. But I'm expecting some 11th hour concessions from these countries, so it's not going to be that bad. And we might see a relief rally on Wednesday or Thursday, even Friday, depending on the unemployment data. Now, Monday, nothing. Tuesday, really, job openings, not really that many. Wednesday, we have employment data. That's the big one, as well as the one that Thursday, initial jobless claims, and then Friday is the big one. The big one is unemployment. Now, what Powell wants to see, let's talk about Powell for a minute and not Trump. What Powell wants to see is he wants to see this number go up. The more people who are unemployed, the less pressure there is on wage inflation. The less pressure there is on wage inflation, the less pressure there is on inflation. And that means he can cut rates, knowing that people can't cherry pick jobs or ask for more money. They just have to take what they're given because there's so many more unemployed people. It's a terrible way of viewing the world, and it shouldn't be like that. But that's what these people in suits do. So Friday is the big day as far as economic data is concerned, and Wednesday is the big day as far as the the markets are concerned, if you like. So Wednesday and Friday could both be very, 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 very choppy. Now, Mags asked a question before. Good morning, KB and Mags. Good morning, Danny. Good morning, Kishan. Now, Mags asked the question, XRP and FET. Everything is going to get wrecked. XRP could go back to, what did we say last week? 160, 170. FET is what it was at 50 cents. It's likely to probably come down another 10% along the way. It's an absolute mess. Now, it's not the end of the world. Again, this is short term, and it's not what we expect by June, July, August, September, October. Okay, it's not long term. Trump's trying to get his way as soon as possible. Remember, he's got 4 years to do this. 4 years. He came in on January the 20th. We're 2 months into the 4-year presidency. And he's trying to basically put his foot down. Now, we saw this massive crash in the DXY. This brought us down from 107. We've bottomed at 103. And we've started to recover. But as you can see, we're moving against the downside. Again, bullish for Bitcoin. This move here, if it breaks down towards this area here, is bullish for Bitcoin. But again, as I say all the time, this is one indicator. It's one signal. Okay, we have lots of other things to look at as well, but it's positive. This moves to the downside. The dollar gets weaker. It's what we want to see, especially when we want our blow off top in November. So the DXY has stalled. It stalled up here at 1046. It's now broken below 104. Again, keep an eye on that. That keeps breaking to the downside and it comes towards 100. Happy days. Right, Bitcoin dominance. Will it ever stop? Vanilla Ice. What a classic. Unlike Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance is still going up. When is this ever going to end? Okay, when is it ever going to end? It's like watching Liverpool at the top of the league. When are they ever going to get caught? 62.3%, 62.4%. We're going to break 63%, aren't we? Remember, if Bitcoin falls, say 5% this week, the minimum everything else is going to fall this week is 8 to 10%. So what's going to happen to Bitcoin dominance? It's going to do that because Bitcoin isn't going to fall more than everything else. Bitcoin is going to fall less than everything else. So Bitcoin dominance is going to go up. And let's see where our top of the line here is 63.2. So there's a very good chance. There's a very, very good chance this week we hit 63.2. And again, it's like a runaway train. There's nobody to apply the brakes to this. Nobody. And until we see some kind of change, and that, again, we could be talking 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, nothing's going to stop Bitcoin dominance. Runaway train. So Bitcoin dominance is going up. DXY is coming down. And the total market cap of crypto is back at where it was in the 2024 high. Now, again, I think this is going to give up today. I think we're going to break. This is a very good level of support from last year. We are rattling on the roof. And unfortunately, it's a tin roof and it's not been well maintained and it's rained, so it's a bit rusty. So I would expect a breakdown to here, which is 2.24, 10% fall across the market is certainly within reach today. The S&P, the American markets are going to open in 4 hours, and it's just there's going to be blood everywhere, absolute blood everywhere. Now that's the total crypto market. The one I expect to fare worse is the total minus Bitcoin. And again, we're at the same thing again here. Oops. We are still, let's wait for it to load. We're still hanging on to this area here. But again, we could come down here. Now that move there is about another 20% move. So potentially we see a 10% drop in the overall market. Potentially we see a 20% drop in the altcoin market. I don't see how this doesn't happen without a massive change in the week, unless we see an end to Liberation Day. I don't see it happening. Money supply, again, we're not going to look at this too much. Money supply here, just to show you where we are. It's been on, but slowly on for a year. Money supply, I'm expecting to pick up towards middle of April, end of April. That's when we should expect to see the QE kicking in. So again, some of the charts are very bullish on Bitcoin. Some of the charts are very bullish on the factors. We're at support of total market cap. We are seeing Bitcoin dominance going up, so no end to Bitcoin on its march. The altcoin season isn't going to arrive until Bitcoin dominance breaks down. The DXY is coming down. That is giving Bitcoin some relief. But the macro at the minute is not good. That's the issue that we have. That is the issue that we have. Anyway, let's move on. Let's get on to some news. Now, I am not a fan of this gentleman. Robert Kiyosaki, is this Rich Dad Poor Dad? He was the one that was predicting $200,000 or $300,000 Bitcoin by August, September last year. He is a doom bringer. He says this. And I think he's been saying this ever since I've heard of him. Okay? And one day, he's going to be right. And one day, he's going to come out and say, I told you so. But he's been saying this, I think, now for at least 3 or 4 years. And yes, he's doubling down on Bitcoin, but his predictions are always wrong. So if he's wrong about the economy, and has been for so many years, why is he going to be right about Bitcoin? At some point, he is going to be right. At some point, Peter Schiff is going to be right. But spending 6 years, in Peter Schiff's case, or 8 years in Peter Schiff's case, telling you that Bitcoin is a scam, if you had have bought Bitcoin when he first started talking about it, you'd have been buying a $3,000 Bitcoin. It's now at $82,000. Now, if Bitcoin goes from $109,000 to $70,000, is he right? Because he's been telling you not to buy it since it was $3,000 or $4,000. You're already 22x, 23x up since when he told you it was bad. And now he's going to turn around. If we do go to 72 or 74,000 this week, he's going to turn around and say, see, I told you I've been right all along. But you've missed 2,200% profit, you absolute muppet. Okay, and the other problem is he's going to be insufferable for the next few weeks, Peter Schiff, because gold is at all-time highs, 3,150. Silver will go to all-time high. So again, when the markets go through a period of uncertainty, as we are now, gold becomes a safe haven. And silver, to some respect, also becomes a safe haven. So when you do see this, the world is in recession. The world's been in a very shaky place since 2008. Okay? 17 years, we've not been in a great position. If you take out the money supply, or the increase in the money supply, going back to 2008, the stock market hasn't moved. The only thing that's moved the stock market in the last 15 years has been printing of money. Which means what? It means the value of all of these companies hasn't really moved. Yes, you've got Apple and Google and Meta and Nvidia, and they've basically propped up the American economy for the last God knows how many years. So don't believe this is a sudden event. We've been running on credit and running on fumes for a very long time. But what it will mean is we are going to start to see interest rates coming down, because the only way to stimulate the economy is to slash interest rates. Make money cheaper, put more money into the system, and away we go. He has said we're in a recession, inflation is theft, totally agree with that. Fiat money is a trap, urging urgent shifts to Bitcoin, gold, and silver. Again, this article could have been from 2012, 2016, 2020, 2022. It won't change. it's going to be the same thing he's going to talk about next year as well. So it is rich dad, poor dad. The facts are the world is in a recession. The facts are inflation is going up, and so is unemployment. The most important question is, what are you going to do about this recession? Will it make you richer or poorer? The choice is yours, and your choice of education can be free. Take care and make this recession the best thing that's ever happened to you. You and only you have the power. The rich get richer. For many, many years, I've been recommending people not to save fake money. For years, I've been recommending saving real gold, silver, and recently Bitcoin. And he has. Agreed, yes. But again, had you maybe been in the stock market for the period of time that he's been talking about buying gold and silver, you'd have outperformed him. Had you been in Bitcoin, you'd have outperformed him and Peter Schiff for the last 10, 12 years. So it's all well and good saying that now he's right. A broken clock is right twice a day. So he's urged his followers, I want you to grow, not recover. It called silver the most undervalued of the three investments in the short term. I do think I've got silver, physical silver. I've got physical gold. I do have a small amount. It's peanuts compared to everything else, but I do have a small amount. And he is right that fiat and inflation is rigged against you. I totally agree with that. But very quickly, let's go and have a look at the Bitcoin chart. It's not as bad as you would think, but I think some of my lines on here probably are going to be hit. And again, some of these things have got to be taken with a pinch of salt. I say this about everybody that you listen to. As soon as you've finished watching this, everything in the markets can change. And I made a video yesterday for the OGs about what I thought we were going to see with Bitcoin, what we're going to see with the markets. I was talking about April still possibly putting in a new all-time high. And then Trump comes out and talks about the tariffs. And it's not a case of that one thing is going to cause the market to end. It's not one thing that's going to, be the end of us. It's the fact that it's just going to drag on for another 3 or 4 weeks. And I put out a tweet today. Now, you couldn't draw this any better. This is the 20th of January, and this is Inauguration Day, and Bitcoin was at $109,000. And at the bottom there, you can see buy the rumor, sell the news. Bitcoin hit its all-time high on Inauguration Day. And then we've had a massive sell the news event. It's not really sell the news, but we'll put it that because that's the title. This is more to do with Trump's aggressive policies against other countries. This is his aggressive policies on lots of things. So again, we're in the downward spiral. We've come down to this first line here, which I had, I think, at 81, 82,000. We've bounced off that. The next level down here for me is this area here, the bottom of the range, which is about $72,000. Now, if you go along here to 2024, that is our 2024 high. And I'm not a betting man, but if you look at this chart, and last week, one of our shows was called Rejection, if you remember. I don't know if it was the Thursday, I think it might have been the Thursday show was called Rejection. And guess what? We got rejected. You remember on the stream, I was telling you 88.5, and guess what? We wicked to it, didn't we? A couple of days, we wicked to it. We didn't break it. And guess what? We're coming down. And yes, of course we can do that. But given what's going to happen this afternoon, unless something changes in the next 4 hours, how are we not going to do this? How are we not going to break down? I'm not saying we're going to go straight to $72,000 today, but how do we not break below 80,000 today, given all of the news? So then where do we look? Well, if we look at the other line that we wicked down to, if we go to the close, the next close down there, let's change it to a nice thick red color. Okay. So the next level that we will probably see today is this line here, 78.8, 78.6, whatever it might be. That's where we came down to 3 weeks ago. And then only end of last week, we were talking about how well we were doing. We've done really well. We were recovering. We've gone from the lower 76. We've come all the way back up to 88. Everyone's looking rosy. And then we've got the trade war. And the trade war plus the rejection is bringing us down. I think 78, 79,000 today is, I'm not going to guarantee anything in life, but it's on the cards as far as I'm concerned. And again, I don't want to sound, obviously, I don't want to sound too bearish or too bullish all the time, but I don't see how we don't go down there today. And then if by Tuesday or Wednesday, we still have the tariff situation going on, the markets are going to get really, really shook. Also, I don't know if you remember what happened when when Japan raised its interest rates. When was it, November or December? And we saw the dip down because the carry trade. So what happens is the Japanese, they have no interest rates. So they borrow basically for free. Then they go to America and buy American stocks. Then if Japan increases its interest rates, which it has done once, and I think it's going to do it, or it has done it again, that's going to make Japanese money more expensive, which means they might de-risk and sell American stocks. The Nikkei is going to get trounced, and it's going to affect the American stock market. So that also brought us down last time. If it brought us down last time, it's going to bring us down again. So I see a certainly around that figure today. And again, maybe the Oracle comes on in a few hours' time and tells us something different. Now, where do we go? The worst, I think, is 72. And if we go below 72, I don't see how we can have a massive, massive recovery before the summer. Because what you'd be talking about is if we went down to, say, let's say we go down below this line here and we start talking about these lines here. So let's say we break into this range here, which is like the 68, 69,000. If we go down there, which is about this range here. Oh, hang on. If we go down to here, which is a little bit lower, the issue is, yes, we can recover, but where do we recover to? Do we just do that? So again, I'm not saying that that's going to happen either. What I'm saying is we can't go too far below, say, 73, 74, 72. We can't go too far down there because then I think we're going to be in a real problem. So I think we need to hold this. If there was ever a time for Bitcoin to give us a signal that it's not going to abandon us, it's 72 to 74,000. Right, we're going to move on to something a bit more bullish, and that is to do with Charles, whatever. Also, if you have any questions, drop them into chat. If you disagree with me, drop them into chat. Where do you think Bitcoin is going to go this week? Drop your price prediction for Bitcoin by the end of Friday in chat. What price is Bitcoin going to be on Friday? Most of you are so engrossed with what I'm saying, you're just watching. Drop a comment in chat. What's your price of Bitcoin going to be on Friday? That's the question. Right, very quickly, we're going to start to talk about Charles. And this interview here is what the article is based on. So I'm going to bring you up the original article. This was an interview. Charles Hoskinson says that Sergey Nazarov's a great guy. We had a great conversation. Cardano and Chainlink say, let's focus on first principles and come back to integration. Now it makes sense commercially to re-engage and figure out those paths forward. That was the interview with Charles. And remember, Cardano isn't, it's not a fly-by-night chain. It's got a massive community, the best proof of stake system in the world. It has its inherent problems. It doesn't have enough liquidity. It doesn't have enough stable coins. They're working on that. Integration with Chainlink is just another element of how they're moving forward. By the end of this year, Cardano will be fully linked up with Bitcoin, according to Charles. It's going to link up to XRP. It's going to link up to Solana. Okay, they are three absolute certainties. Okay, Chainlink brings with it CCIP. It brings with it the ability for funds to move seamlessly between chains. And I think for Cardano to be a success, it needs to have that. And he talks about it here. Dogecoin, Chainlink, and Bitcoin, it can expand Cardano's reach. I spent last night with Sergey Nazarov from Chainlink, and I asked, hey, what about integrating Chainlink with Cardano? He said, yeah, we're working on it with you guys, but your stack is a bit unusual, so it'll take some time. Chainlink is reportedly developing a more generalized Oracle solution tailored for the UTXO-based DeFi applications rather than focusing solely on Cardano. The collaboration extends beyond Cardano, encompassing the broader ecosystem, including Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Dogecoin. Litecoin, for Tariq out there, all is not lost. He touched on the plan that Cardano has been looking to get into Bitcoin OS. And of course, the key for everybody, not just Cardano, the key for Cardano, Solana, Ethereum, Maple, which we talk about, one of our sponsors of the channel, unlocking Bitcoin. Bitcoin is what? 63% of all of crypto right now. If you take stable coins out of the equation, Bitcoin is what? 66% of crypto? 2/3 of crypto is in Bitcoin. If you can tap into that, create a DeFi ecosystem around that, you've unlocked billions and billions in fees, revenue, income, whatever you want to be. And Cardano has promised, and Charles has promised, that this year at the Bitcoin conference, Charles will speak and he will demonstrate Cardano running alongside Bitcoin. That's the big hope for Cardano. That's the big hope for Bitcoin, because if anybody can do it, Cardano can do it. Put it this way, of the three blockchains that are looking into this, Ethereum, Solana, and Cardano, who would I have the most faith in getting that done? And I would say Cardano, because they are boring, sensible, slow. They are, they have an awful lot of university-backed brains behind them. They're super intelligent. Nothing really ever breaks on Cardano, if ever. I know when they launched their DeFi platform, I sent some Cardano or some ADA over there to use the platform, and it was a joke. It was just so slow. And now they've fixed those problems. They've got Hydra. There's a lot going on Cardano. But if I had to pick somebody to actually get it right, it would be Cardano. It wouldn't be Ethereum. It wouldn't be Solana. Solana are working on Zeus, Bitcoin, getting the Bitcoin connectivity up to Solana. That's being worked on. Ethereum has various options. You've got different layer 2s on Bitcoin as well. So there's a lot. CoreDAO is one of them. So there's a lot going on over there. But I would pick Cardano. Absolutely. Now, tell me who didn't see this coming. Tell me who didn't see this coming. Pump Fun becomes the leading DEX on Solana with 1.8 billion in volume, 59% market share within 24 hours. Who didn't see this coming? Radium is the top DEX on Solana. 60% or 66% of Radium's transactions went through Pump.Fun, or Pump.Fun generated 2/3 of Radium's transactions and volume. Pump.Fun launches its own DEX. Radium launches its own Pump.Fun. Pump.Fun wins. Why? Because it's got the volume. I don't necessarily think this is the best way forward, by the way. I think Radium and Pump.Fun should have worked together, but there we go. They want a bigger slice of the pie. Now, what comes with volume? Fees, revenue, profit. Pump.Fun will be taking a fraction of that. And that's just even more money to go into their ecosystem and their development and their team. Pump Fun has emerged as the leading decentralized DEX on the Solana blockchain, achieving an all-time trading volume all-time high trading volume of over $1. So, who thinks that this was not checked? Who thinks that this was just published automatically without anybody bothering to read this? All-time high trading volume of, I would imagine, 1.8 billion is supposed to be written there, not $1. I mean, even I could set up a DEX and put a transaction through for $5, and I'd be 5 times the volume of pump.fun, according to this article. So there you go. Look at what it did to Radium. Radium was clearly number 1. Now, it's fallen behind Orca and Meteora. That's it. So pump.fun is the number 1. My issue is reputation, because my reputation or that my opinion of pump.fun is that it's bad for the ecosystem, because it's just generating a load of rubbish, a load of meme coins, a lot of crap. Okay? And it's not actually generating an awful lot of meme coins that are getting to a very high market cap. So I think that's dead. I think they've become a DEX. Fine. Happy days. But it's really kicked Radium in the nuts. Now, again, I will have made a video at some point in the past that has said the 5 top Solana projects that you should be investing in will be the likes of Jupiter, the likes of Gito, the likes of Orca, maybe. Who else would I have mentioned on that? I wouldn't have said Meteora. Maybe Camino. Camino would definitely have been in there. And of course, Solana. So they would have been maybe my 5 tokens to pick on Solana. This has now happened. Can you tell me what do you think is going to happen next? Because I sure as sugar can tell you what's going to happen next. And that is they are going to launch a DEX token. Why wouldn't they launch a DEX token? Give it a few months, maybe even a few weeks of this amount of volume, and they are going to sell their own token. And it's going to be called PumpSol, maybe, or PSol, whatever it might be, okay? Because why wouldn't they? Orca has a token. Meteora has a token. Radium has a token. Pump. So Pump's going to launch its own token. Will it be a good token to buy? Yes. Look at the volume. It's 5 times higher than Orca. It's 5 times higher than Meteora. It's twice as large as the 3 of them combined. So Pump's going to have its own token. That's the next thing that's going to come out. Absolutely sure as nailed on that that's going to have its own token. And again, it will be airdropped. And I'm sure the people that have been trading on pump.fun, the people that have used pump.fun in the past, they're all going to get the airdrop. It's going to become a $2, $3, $1 billion project overnight. Of course it is. Right, before we move on, has anybody given me any predictions? Good morning, Kishan. Morning, Took Trade. Boulder. 78 to 89 are your targets. Put it this way. If we wick down, let me just go and fix the... I'm just going to reload the browser for a second, because for some reason I think there's been an update to the browser that I use, and that update wrecks the I don't what's it called, the stream. It kills the stream. Now look, see that? Now I'm back to being perfectly fine. I think this week, certainly, I think we go down. Maybe 78 we hold. Maybe 76 we hold. Maybe we don't. Maybe we go to 72. They're all on the cards. A lot of people don't like putting out predictions, which is absolutely fine. But I think we've got to err on the side of caution. Right, let's bring this up. Let's bring this up and see where we are. There we go. Okay. NASDAQ files to launch a new Grayscale Avalanche exchange traded fund. The one thing I'll say about this is that a lot of... Hang on, am I still here? I'm still here. A lot of these types of news articles, a lot of these new ETFs, they're going to have less and less effect over time. And I want to make sure that you all understand why. Bitcoin was always going to be and will always be the biggest ETF, crypto ETF in the world. Nothing is ever going to come close to it. Ethereum is likely, if it continues its trajectory, to maybe become a top 5 ETF. XRP, Solana are going to come and take that crown if Ethereum doesn't change its ways. Now, you're then going to start to see the Litecoin ETF. And I will make the argument here and now that there is a universe where only the ETF cryptocurrencies really survive. Chainlink is going to get an ETF, certainly, maybe even Tron, because Justin Sun is trying to win favor with Trump. Kronos is going to get an ETF. So I'm under the impression that there is a future where we only get pumps and long-term gains in projects that are connected to ETFs. And over time, those ETFs are going to get more and more traditional money, and people are not going to go and use the existing ways of buying crypto. They're just going to go through ETFs, the same way you get stocks and shares. That's one future that we could potentially have. And what that means is, if you don't have an ETF, you've gone by the wayside. Because remember, in 4 years' time, the government in America may very well change. There may be a new Democrat in charge. And he might turn around and say, the only way you can buy crypto is through an ETF. For example, the only way to get crypto into your pension fund, a 401k, is through an ETF. And if that's the case, then the 40 or 50 cryptos which have their own ETF, they are going to be the long-term winners. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just giving you a scenario where it could happen. We've seen the switch from anti-crypto to pro-crypto happen in the space of 3 months, 2 months. We've got 3.5 years of it. Where are we going to be in 3.5 years? Who knows? Because if you go back 3.5 years, nobody could have predicted where we are today. We might have nation states carrying out cyber attacks against each other to get hold of their Bitcoin. That's an absolute possibility. So Grayscale having this fund is a positive because it opens up traditional finance and pensions and all those kind of things. But it's also not super bullish where the price of Avalanche is going to 10x. Okay, it will hold value maybe better than some of its competitors. And as we run up towards the ETF, it will probably appreciate in value the same way Litecoin, XRP, and Solana are likely to appreciate when we get the date for when that ETF can go live. So this is massively bullish, of course it is, but it's also bullish with a hint of a warning, and that is this isn't going to make Avalanche a $100 to a $150 billion project. Okay, it's not going to do that. So Grayscale's Avalanche Trust, which would be entirely tied to the price of the Layer 1's project. Yes, we know that's a spot ETF. It's been submitted. Van Eck also hopes to launch a fund tied to the Ethereum rival, which is fine. We've also got the Cardano, Solana, XRP, Hedera ones on the horizon, which we know about that. The big bullish news for Ethereum is going to be the staking. The staking of the Ethereum ETF, I think, is probably when the narrative switches on Ethereum, because you're going to go from losing 0.1%, 0.2% a year to gaining maybe 2% a year. So I think the narrative on Ethereum is going to change when we get the ETF. That's a positive. Solana, XRP, Hedera, ADA, of course, they're all positives that they're getting their own ETFs, but don't expect Solana to go to $2,000, $3,000. Don't expect XRP to go to $50 because it's got an ETF. That's not how it works. It just means that they can be added to a basket. So Franklin Templeton, BlackRock, Van Eck, they can all have a crypto basket. All the top 10, maybe top 20 cryptocurrencies are going to be in that crypto basket. And if somebody buys $100,000 of that crypto, 60% of that's going to be in Bitcoin, 10% is going to be in Ethereum, and then all of these other coins are going to get passive volume into them from being in those baskets. You can see it coming. I told you 2 years ago what BlackRock wants to do. It wants the pie, and it wants to offer you the pie, and you'll turn around and say, oh, but I want to buy Bitcoin, but I want to buy Solana, or I want to buy XRP because I've heard of them. And BlackRock will say, no fear, my friend. Here is our crypto basket. This is the top 10 cryptocurrencies in the world. You no longer need to worry about buying any of these coins. You don't know what they do. Just buy this. And you'll go and put your money in, and you'll have access to Solana, XRP, Hedera, Litecoin, AVAX, Bitcoin, Ethereum. You'll have access to them all through this fund. So why then does your aunt or uncle ever need to go and buy crypto ever again? They can just turn around to you and say, I've got BlackRock, and it's got Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Bitcoin, Cardano. And you should turn around to them and say, that's good. Yeah, that's a pretty good way of investing. Yeah. Because that's the right thing to do, because it's the right thing for BlackRock to do. It doesn't mean they're not going to make a load of money out of it. It means it's the right thing to do. We can't have every Tom, Dick and Harry coming to crypto and being scammed by pump.fun coins that come out of the wazoo. Because what's that going to do? It's just going to make the entire crypto industry appear like a scam. Right then, this was a funny tweet that came out from Andre over the weekend. I'm not including, by the way, I for the record, and I think I said this on the stream Monday last week, I did buy a bag of S. Yes, and I have sold it. I sold it yesterday. So, but I am going to buy back into it. He came out and he said that he wasn't going to launch an algorithmic stablecoin. He was going to... What does it actually have the tweet? Because if it doesn't have the tweet, it was quite funny. So basically, he said it wasn't going to have a US-backed algorithmic stablecoin. It was going to develop a UAE dirham-linked alternative amidst mounting regulatory pressures in the USA. Because, of course, the USA, that's more than happy to have Tether and Circle and USD1 and OneUSD and USDE and all of these other derivatives. It's happy because they're all based in the US. Of course they're happy. What Trump will not want is an Eastern European or an Eastern European entity creating an American pegged stablecoin, US pegged stablecoin, because he has no A, control over it, or B, they don't make that many tax dollars out of it. Now, what Andre probably should have done is set up Sonic Labs in the US and try to launch it out of there, but he hasn't. The second thing is it's algorithmic, which means he won't be backing it with US treasuries. And what have I been saying to you? Trump wants stable coins, because stable coins buy treasuries, and treasuries prop up the American economy. You come along with an algorithmic stable coin. It's backed by Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Sonic token, whatever it might be. That's what it's backed by. And I've said before, this is not necessarily a great idea, because you have the likes of the USTC collapse, which was the US dollar Terra token, which went into a death spiral, wiped it all out. So I am really, really not a fan of algorithmic stablecoins. I know Charles has talked about them in the past as well. But if you have a dollar, and that dollar is backed by a dollar, nothing in the world will ever make that dollar not worth a dollar. Can the dollar go up and down in value? Yes, of course it can. But your dollar in crypto will always be worth a dollar in a bank account. Now, when you bring in an algorithmic stablecoin, and it's backed by pounds, shillings, pence, yen, and euro, the dollar will move against those coins. Maybe it goes up 10% and down 10%. Your non-US denominated fiat-backed stablecoin is going to have to trade pounds, euros, whatever else it might be. But guess what? If there's an absolute market collapse and the pound goes to $5 to the pound, it goes to 10 cents to the pound, and it loses 90% of its value, you're going to have a depeg, which means every dollar is only going to be backed by 95 cents. It's over. It's absolutely over. So I understand where stablecoin legislation comes from. I understand why they're trying to do this. I also am completely against algorithmic stablecoins. Absolutely against them. They should not have a place at all, in my opinion. I agree we should maybe have a Bitcoin-backed stablecoin, but that stablecoin shouldn't be dollar, it should be BTC. Right then, again, we're on to the final article, and this is a good one. Joe Exotic launches exotic cryptocurrency from prison to fund legal battles. Now, so Kishan's, before we get on further, let's read out what Kishan's got to say. Situation risk management is important. If it goes to 78, I get decent. Short will close and ready to buy back up. Absolutely. I'm going to get onto it in the end. 90% of my property. Yeah. Okay. I agree. We've got 4 or 5 minutes. We'll go through what I'm going to do, what my strategy is going to be today. And maybe today and tomorrow, maybe today, tomorrow, Wednesday, who knows? But we'll go through that in a minute. But Joe Exotic has launched this cryptocurrency from prison to fund legal battles. Now, before we even read any of this, don't buy this token. Don't buy it. Don't look at it. If you think about buying these types of tokens, poke yourself. No, actually, don't do that. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, what are you doing with your life to buy trash like this? Okay? If you have $50 to put into this, go and buy Bitcoin. If you have $200 to go and buy this, go and buy Bitcoin instead. If you have $1,000 to go and buy Exotic, go and buy Bitcoin instead. Do you get the idea? Look, it's a GoFundMe. That's what it is. It's a GoFundMe, which means what? It means that Joe is going to wait for this to get to a certain price, 10, 50, $100 million. And what's he going to do? He's going to sell it all. Well, guess what Haley Welsh and the team did with their token? They sold it all. Libra sold it all. Melania didn't quite sell it all, sold a lot. Can you not see? It's like if every time you go into a bar, somebody hits you in the head with a plank of wood, would you keep going into the bar? No. This is the meme bar, okay? It's full of memes. You walk in, they take the money out of your pocket, they take your coat off your back, and then they hit you in the head with a plank of wood. And then the week later you go, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to that meme bar. I'm going to go and have a beer in that meme bar. And you walk in the door and they take your coat off, they take all the money out and they hit your head with a plank. And now you've got 2 massive bruises and lumps on your head. And you think, I know what I'm going to do next week. I'm going to go back to the meme bar for another pint. When are you going to learn this is trash? That's what it is. Absolute trash. You know the famous meme, I'm never going to financially recover from this. He has turned it round and pointed it at you, okay? I absolutely loved this documentary. Carol Baskin, Joe Exotic, it was brilliant, okay? Did I agree with what they were doing? No, of course not. But he is a character. Tiger King, it's trash. 21 years for a failed scheme targeting Carol Baskin. Again, we don't need to talk too much about this. This foray into cryptocurrency appears to be part of a broader strategy to maintain his public profile as he hopes for release well before 2039. Through regular phone calls and digital appearances, he sustains engagement with his supporters, marking an unprecedented intersection between incarceration and celebrity digital finance. Don't go near it. Don't go near it. Don't touch it with a barge pole. It's a waste of time. You're going to get scammed. It is trash. You need to avoid it. If you've just arrived here and you're wondering why I am trashing this meme coin because Joe's such a lovely guy, it's a GoFundMe, which means all the money gets taken out. He might end up with $5 million. He might end up with $2 million, but that's a lot of legal fees for him. What will happen to you is you're going to lose the $100, $50 that you've put into the token, and you're going to be left with 1,000 exotic worth 2 cents. Absolute trash. Right then. So, in answer to Kishan, because it is now exactly 12 o'clock, we've done the show in an hour. Don't know how we managed to do it, but we do. So, I opened up a short at 82.2. And I am expecting us to break towards 80,000 by 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. We are down to 81. What are we at now? 81.35? Or have we gone lower? 81.4 we're at now. So we're at 81.4. So my short opened at 82.3, I think. I think if we break 80 and go towards 78 today, I'm going to close my short. That's it. I'm not a trader. I don't profess to be a trader. If we go anywhere near 78, I'm going to close. If there is some news that comes out at 6, 7 o'clock tonight where it looks like the market is going to recover, I will close the trade. If we continue to go down and Trump comes out today and issues his war cry, then I'm going to keep it open till tomorrow. And I'm basically going to play it by ear. I don't have a target in mind unless we hit 78,000, and then I'm going to close. I don't care about us going to 72, 74 for this short. We want to get in and get out. What's going to coincide with that is that I have shorted the market with a specific target of buying Sonic. That's what I've done. I sold my Sonic at 55, 60 cents. I can't remember what I got out of it for. I got in at 49 cents, 50 cents. So took a bit of profit out of Sonic, shorted on Bitcoin. What I'm going to do, if Sonic goes down towards 40 cents, I'm going to sell the short and buy back into Sonic at 35, 40 cents if we go down that far. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to be honest with you and tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not expecting anybody to follow that at all. I'm just telling you so we try and remain transparent. Now, don't forget the Oracle is back in 5 hours' time. The Oracle is back with his trading stream. Last week, he had KB on. Again, KB's in chat. It was a good conversation. I enjoyed it a lot. It's nice to have a different opinion on things. Even though we don't necessarily agree on everything, I'm sure KB listens to the show and doesn't agree with everything I say. But it's just nice to have a different opinion on the show, really. And that's another reason why we bring up a lot of these articles. A lot of these things that we bring up either support what I say or go against what I say. But either way, I include them because I can disagree with them and I have my reasons to disagree with them. And if it's something that agrees with me, then it's validation to what I'm saying, if that makes any sense. So I will always try and have a broad range. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I don't agree with, but I agree with gold, silver, and Bitcoin. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I don't agree with him giving you ridiculous price targets, but I think his advice is, a lot of his advice is sound. And again, if there's one thing you learn from watching me, it's not tolerance, that's not the right word. Appreciate other people's points of view. Appreciate that you might not agree with me. Appreciate that I might not agree with you. But there'll always be common ground that we can find where we can agree on something. And that is maybe that Bitcoin is the #1 emerging asset in the world. And if we can just agree on that point and nothing else, then that's a good place to be. But I am back tomorrow at 11 o'clock, as always. This hour has really messed up my meridians. So I'm really tired right now because my alarm, which was set for 8, has actually woke me up at 7. And I'm not one of these people you see on the internet that talks about having 4 days in a week where I work from 7 till 12 and 12 till 5 and 5 till 10, all that kind of nonsense. No, I'm an old man and I like my sleep. And on that note, thank you everybody for coming. See you all tomorrow. Tune back in 5 hours' time to watch the Oracle. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, watch some of the videos that I've made. Take care. Thank you everybody for coming. Goodbye.